Good evening, ladies and gents. We are starting a series of lessons dedicated to the topic of programming. More specifically, we will start with HTML. Let's dive into it. What does HTML stand for? Hypertext Markup Language. Again, Hypertext Markup Language. Let's understand each and every word separately, shall we? So, what does hyper mean? Literally, it just means more than. For example, hyperactive means more active. When someone is more active than they are usually, we can call them hyperactive. You're hyperactive today simply means you're more active today than you usually are. That's just it. Hyper means more than. Here we have two texts. On the left, we have plain or simple text. This is just text. It contains words, sentences, and punctuation signs. What are punctuation signs? Here we have 1, 2, 3. In the end, we have this one. Right. So you can have one or more paragraphs, right, using caps lock, etc. Anyway, this is just simple text. Hypertext, on the contrary, may contain links or hyperlinks, background colors, and other elements. You can insert images, sounds, make another text appear on top of a text when the cursor or mouse is on that text, etc. So hypertext is more than text, simple text plus different elements makes a hypertext. You all know, for instance, if I click on this blue word, which is underlined, I will go to a new web page, right? So this is hypertext. It's simple text plus more elements. That's just it. Hypertext is just a very rich text which can do many different things. Now let's move on. Markup. To mark up simply means to make marks or notes. Now, when you read a simple article online or offline, that article normally doesn't contain marks. On the other hand, here is a little text which does contain some marks. You see, inside the text we have different colors. Some of the phrases are underlined, or at least one is underlined and is put into a circle, and you have some marks around the text itself, right? So this text is marked up. It contains marks. Here's another example. So in here I have 3 marks. 1, 2, 3. Number 1 means it's the beginning, right? First. We start with number 1. Then we go to number 2, then to number 3, and maybe we decide to connect number 3 to number 1. So I'm making marks in this document. I'm telling this is the beginning, this is the middle, this is the end. I'm marking up my document. That's just it. We'll see an example shortly. And the final word, language. Language means syntax. Syntax is a Greek word which means arranging or putting together. Let's have a few examples in here. For instance, if I want to say I feel happy, in English I'd say I am happy. In French I would say je suis heureux. In Russian I would say я счастлив. And in Armenian, I'd say yes yerjanikim. So we have 4 different languages. English and French are quite similar actually. The first word is I or je. Then we have the verb to be, I am, je suis. And in the end we have the word happy or heureux. In Russian, on the other hand, can you see that we have 2 words? The first word is ya, which stands for I, and the second word is счастлив, which stands for happy. So in Russian, we just say I happy, period. And the phrase is correct, I happy. And that's it. So this is how the syntax of the Russian language works. I happy. And the phrase is correct. In Armenian, we have yes, which stands for I. Then we have yerjanik, which stands for happy. And in the end, we have m, which stands for m. It's funny, like it's a different language, but in Armenian and in English, the verb to be sounds the same, like I am, yes, m. M is the same. However, in Armenian, instead of saying I am happy, we say I happy am. So the syntax of every language has its own peculiarities, like differences, right? So language is about syntax. HTML itself is a language which has its own syntax. Here's an example. Oh, here it is. So this phrase is written in HTML. We have marks. This is the first mark and this is the second mark. In normal English, we would call these marks. But HTML itself is a language. Just like in English we have the word adjective. In Russian we have, let's say, прилагательное. So again, in plain English we would call these marks. In HTML language we call these tags. T-A-G. Tag or tags. So we have 2 tags in here. An opening tag and a finishing or closing tag. This is the closing one, and on the left, this is the opening one. So this element is written in HTML and it contains marks, 2 marks. So this document is marked up with HTML language, right? Now we will go much deeper into this, of course, but for now let's just make sure that you've understood each and every word in HTML in the acronym. So hyper means too much, less than, more than. Which one is correct? Just type in your answer in the comments section below, okay? Question number 2. Marked up text is a text that contains unknown symbols, a text that contains notes or marks, a text that contains hidden messages for specific people. Let's move on. Hypertext may contain addresses of businesses in your town, images, sounds, background colors, both, none of the above. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, Hypertext Mockup Language, Hyped Makeup Language, Hypertext Markup Language. And finally, HTML is used for, you need to pick 2 best answers in here, making websites through formatting the text and other elements of websites, adding images, videos, links, sounds, and other elements to the websites and web pages, making lives on Facebook and YouTube, making Donald Trump angry. Well, you may pick 3 answers for this one. So, yeah, let's see what you come up with.